This is going to be a question for the women out there. I want you to just answer honestly, as honest as you possibly can. If you are around any sort of guy, any male, can be any age, if you don't have any interest of them, will you subtly or in just on purpose, would you try to sell yourself? Would you try to sell an image of yourself? Would you make yourself look a certain way to that person? Would that usually happen? I personally think majority of women that don't find anyone interesting, a man interesting, they won't try to sell themselves or try to engage in a sort of way that is presenting, making her more plausible, making her more viable. She won't try to do this. That's my opinion. And what happened with in my life a few years ago, is she looks a certain way that she's not interested. Women are like this for a range of reasons. One of the reasons why is because they don't want to make it obvious that they are interested. I don't know why. Maybe because they're shy, maybe because you're not like an obvious choice, maybe because she's not sure about you. If she's not sure about you, then and she sells herself onto you, if you accept her and she later realizes, actually, I don't want to be with this guy, then it's kind of awkward and it's bad, especially if you have some sort of friendship, family relations, something like that. In my case, it was family relations, family friend. So you don't want to make it like that. You don't want to be in that awkward position. You don't want to have that loss of connection because of that. You still want a reach, you still want an outlet of something. Maybe you're going to ask for some advice, maybe it can be anything. But this person as like a possible candidate is out of your mind after you realize you're sure that, nah, this person I don't care about. I don't want them as a candidate. That's probably why you don't make it obvious. That's probably why you're kind of hidden interested. I newly learned this. I newly learned how it looks like for a woman to be interested, but they are not. They're not making it obvious. They're not showing you obvious signs that look, I'm interested, and making it bonding, that kind of romance bonding at the start. Even they might be kind of like, I don't care about you. I don't care about how you think. I don't care about that kind of attitude, but they still give you they still question you, they still engage with you. You wouldn't engage with somebody that you are not interested in at all, right? That is definitely not a candidate. True? So that's what happened to me. She, at first, obviously didn't find me attractive, completely fine. At that time, I wouldn't find myself attractive as well. But it was a telltale sign that as it blossomed, I guess the friendship blossomed and the knowing each other blossomed. It wasn't even friendship. That's when she started to become interested. So she was more desperate than I was. I was younger than her. I still am, obviously. 4 years younger than her, something like that. For her, it's crucial because she's a woman. For women, age is more important than for guys. So later on, I realized that she's trying to lock someone down, and that's when I really tried to stay away from her for obvious reasons. And I don't like the word locking down in any relationship, in any prospect. I don't like that. For both men and women, I don't like it. What happened? What happened was she asked me some questions, talked to me a bit about finding a job and how she's trying to find a job, and talking about the photo that she took that is like provocative and almost like she's wearing lingerie kind of photo. like maybe something a street walker would wear, honestly, and how she used it to find a job. And she's showing me this whilst I really don't think I asked her whatsoever. She just said that she was hoping that I would not judge and laugh at her. And then she proceeded to show me finally. And I said, I'm not going to laugh at you, like, because I'm not finding the situation very interesting. Like, I'm not interested, so I don't think I'll be laughing. It's not a big deal, who cares? And then she finally showed it. And then I saw that. And I wasn't waiting to see that, like, I was not expecting that. I was just expecting looking good, but not like a street walker, not that much. And everything has signs. Obviously, a woman wants to feel attractive, completely fine. But it's the way that you go about it that is crucial. Obviously, making a mistake is completely normal. I'm mature enough to, if someone makes a mistake and they maybe look like a streetwalker or whatnot, then I would forgive them, and I'll act in a certain way that is treating them like a person rather than the mistake that they made. But instead, what happened was it was patterns. This was continuing. That's how she tried to find a job. That's how you try to find a job. You try to look like a streetwalker. That's one of the methods that you choose to find a job. And that's not taking leverage. That's exploitation. That's you're not afraid to degrade yourself in order to have some leverage. And that's not just going to be for the job. It's going to be for everything. It's going to be in a relationship. It's going to be when you're socializing with people, when you're in a setting where another prospect, another candidate you see around, you're going to be flirty, you're going to be a bit open. So this person you can't be with, you can't be friends with, you can't really, there's no sense of loyalty because she's open to degrade herself for some validation, for some value, for something. And it was disappointing, okay. I saw her more as like my sister, so I never really had the vibes of we would be a prospect of dating. I never saw that. And they wanted that. The family members, they wanted us not to be in that kind of pressure of they might date. So the natural way might spark something, which is true, but you don't hide it completely. Instead you say, I have some interest in you, like a normal adult. If you want, we can spend time together here and there. And sure, it can be like a date. It's completely normal. I'm not gonna, therefore, decide to behave differently. Even if I do behave differently, then it shouldn't be, then that's something wrong with me. I'm seeing the date as an opportunity instead of treating her like a person. If I'm nervous, it's completely fine. But if I'm doing some other stuff, different stuff, then it's completely fine to be like, this guy is not treating me like a person. This guy's being a weirdo. That's completely fine. But that never happened. There was no honesty, there was no transparency. And it's not something that I tolerate 100%. And they struggle. They struggle because they're looking at prospects around them. Can I get with this guy? Can I get with that guy? Can I get with this guy? And it's very inconsiderate of the guys because they don't see. So what is the lesson here? The lesson is if the woman is trying out guys, if she sees them as prospects or dating them, trying them out, and she treats them like basically just an opportunity and she focuses more on what she can get rather than the guy and how he feels, then it's a very bad thing. She's gonna continue that kind of behavior of self-fulfillment and being inconsiderate and being deceiving in other aspects of her life, such as finding a job in this case. And probably with family members, she was behaving in this way as well. And she behaved this way with me. So in every aspect, in many aspects, if we were to be together, she would be continuing this kind of deceiving, disregarding, self-centered behavior, entitled behavior, and wanting me to problem solve, being the Mr. Problem Solver, being the Mr. Caterer, Mr. Superman, and that kind of immaturity would persist. That's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next